Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Cynthia Mayo coming to you again from Third John Living Well, where we have been unpacking, and I personally have really enjoyed it. Learning more about prosperity, um, about thriving and flourishing, or prospering. I should not say prosperity. Prospering is what I meant to say. We've had enough teaching on prosperity. Thank you very much. Anyway, Third John 2. I love this little short verse where the writer says, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in every way, that your body may keep well, even as I know your soul keeps well and prospers. I like that. And for the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about how to, tap into your kids and kind of see what's going on with them. And it is a challenge. It's not easy, especially if you don't have regular communications, like with your kids. It just may not come natural, it may not come easy. But take one day at a time, one moment at a time, one issue at a time, and you can address this different things with them. But one thing I don't think we really think about as parents is, are our children feeling any sense of grief, any sense of loss? To be honest with you, there's so many school shootings and just shootings in general where young people have been losing their lives. How is this affecting your kids? Do they know how to respond to that type of situation? I mean, even as adults, I know for me, when I keep hearing about school shootings and other shootings, it disturbs me because I cannot imagine how the family or and other classmates and the teachers feel about when there are these type of instances, these occurrences. And so I wanted to just very briefly for a moment or two talk to you about grief, what to say, what not to say, how to be that comfort, for a person. Talk to your kids, as always, you got to ask them first, what is it you know about grief? What do you know about mourning? What do you know about losing something, not necessarily a human? It could be a pet. I know our family, excuse me, y'all, we lost three of our fur babies within 6 months. Two to cancer that was not obvious, and my little Chihuahua had heart failure and kidney failure, and we had to let her go, all within 6 months. But God was gracious. He blessed us this time with three of the sweetest little fur babies. They're extra special because they all came at a time when we had suffered loss and we were grieving. However, in the human world, we can't replace human beings like we can our fur babies. And it's challenging, even to us as believers. And I sometimes feel like believers struggle with grief and loss worse than anybody because they're being told by the pastor, don't you cry. Don't you shed a tear. Or so and so has gone on to be with the Lord. That doesn't stop you from grieving. Baby, you know they in a better place. That doesn't stop you from grieving. God got another job for you. You lost your job. But that doesn't stop you from grieving. You can buy another car, you can get another house, but you lost your house or your car because you lost your job. That's grief. I told you it's a lot of stuff, but I want to really address the thing with human loss, um, to classmates, maybe a teacher, maybe some other person within the school, maybe it's your grandmother, maybe a parent, maybe a sibling. It's challenging for us to have to navigate the waters of grief. That's not easy. Again, I gotta go back to y'all. I'm sorry, church folk. I know you said she pick on us, but it's because how we've been programmed. You don't cry, you don't mourn, you don't respond in a normal way because you're a Christian. Be stoic. Nah, that don't work for me. I know Jesus, and he grieved the loss of a good friend, dare I say a brother. His name was Lazarus, and he'd been dead 4 days. And there's a lot that went on before that. It's in John 11. Go look it up and read it. But when he got there, it was like, mm, that thing got real to him that he had lost his friend. And the shortest version of the Bible, 2 words, Jesus wept. But he's the Savior. He's human. Jesus wept. So we need to learn if we're going to follow him as believers, we need to weep too. Excuse me. Y'all know the seasonal stuff is a mess, isn't it? Grief is described in 2 words when I looked it up: deep sorrow. Deep sorrow. Doesn't that sound like what Jesus experienced in the Garden of Gethsemane? Deep sorrow, anguish, sadness, misery. He experienced all of those human emotions in the Garden of Gethsemane. Remember, I said that he sweat drops of blood. Several versions, when you read about him, it says he ran and threw himself on the ground. That's how the grief affected him. No one had died yet, but he knew it was going to be him. He also knew he was going to have to endure some things before he got to the cross. So, yeah, that would cause me some deep sorrow too. Very much sorrow. So, that's one thing I want to talk about. And some of you may or not be familiar with Kubler-Ross, who several decades ago gave you 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Well, our nation right now is in all but the last one. We're not accepting anything. And there is grief in this nation for decisions that were made in 2024. And because of that decision, that choice they made, the whole nation is in an uproar. There's more fear in the land than I can recall ever seeing. There's anguish, there's depression, there's anxiety. People are stressed beyond anything you can imagine. There's no acceptance yet, though. We're in stage 4 in this nation. Hmm. So, in dealing with grief and young people, it's challenging. And even if you have, say, an elder that's in your home or that you're a caregiver for and you visit regularly, it's challenging. Can you imagine how some of them feel seeing their civil rights taken away from them? Some of them may have been deeply involved in the movement decades ago where they fought for equality, to be seen as human beings, and to be treated as such, where they fought for the Constitution to let the people know this applies to me as well as you and anyone else in this nation. They fought. So there's some grief there for them to see the generations now, having to fight for civil rights again. That's grief. So we need to be aware that it is affecting our nation, but closer to home, it's affecting your child. It may be affecting your parent. It may be affecting a friend. And it's causing this thing called grief. Okay. I found an article that I thought was really, really good And it just talks about um, things to say and things not to say to someone that's grieving. I know my mother passed. Ah, Jesus. Church folks said some of the dumbest things to me that I had ever heard, but this one took the cake. I had taken time off from church, and the Sunday I returned, this older lady looked at me because I was smiling, and she goes, "Oh, I see the veil of mourning has lifted." And I thought to myself, "Who are you looking at? I'm still mourning. I'm still grieving. You're going by what you see on the outside. Y'all just don't want to know the conversation that was going on in my head." Have you ever in your I see the veil of mourning has lifted. Y'all, we say stupid stuff, being spiritual and acting like, trying to think, well, I'm concerned. I had a friend in the initial few weeks that after my mother passed, and it's like she could feel something. It would be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. She would call me. She said, "You okay?" And I'm laying in the bed crying. I can't say anything to her, and she can hear it. She can sense it. She said, "Let's pray." And then I was able to sleep after she did that. That's what I needed. And sometimes a person doesn't need you to ask questions. They just need you to listen. And even though I didn't say anything, she was still listening. But things not to say to someone in grief, okay? You'll get through it. Be strong. If you've heard that, wave your hand or something. He brought this one on himself. It was his fault. They could say that about a child that maybe was wounded or shot in the wrong place at the wrong time. Really, you don't say that. She's in a better place. How many times have I heard that? It's been a while. Aren't you over it yet? Some church folk will tell you that. They'll say that to you. Well, when you coming back to serve? It's been 6 months. He lived a long time. He, at least he didn't die young. Some of y'all have heard some of this stuff. I'm telling you. God must have wanted her because she was such a good person. You're young. You can always have another child. Now, that's the time you want to punch somebody in the face. I know exactly how you feel. No, you don't. That's not your mama. That's not your loved one or your child or even your dog. They don't know how you feeling. I guess it was his time to go. Everything happens for a reason. Life goes on. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what you do say, or you can say to someone in grief. I can't imagine what you're going through. I'm so sorry for your loss. I don't know what to say. I wish I had the right words to comfort you. Now, I've had to say that with a dear friend. I didn't know what to say. I didn't. I had, so I didn't say anything. You, your family, and your loved one will be in my thoughts and prayers. I'm on the fence with that one because we've heard thoughts and prayers too much behind mass shootings. She was so nice to me. One of my favorite memories of her was that you'd be surprised how much that means to someone when you share a good memory. When we had a visitation from my mother, it actually turned into like a little it was a time for people to share. That's what it turned into. And a dear friend of mine, he kind of, like carried the service for me. And the stories that people told about my mama that I had never heard, oh my goodness, One story one of the a young lady told was Mama always said like on the second row. Most of the mothers, the older ladies, they sat in a certain place. Well, this young person came and said, "My mama's seat, okay." Mama ain't said a word. The person staying up patting their hands, doing service. When they turned around to sit down, Mama was sitting in her seat. And the lady was like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I ain't never knew my mama did that." Just, but that was a story. I will never forget it because Mama was something. I tell you, she was a sweetie, but she was something. And that story stuck. So when she shared that, that was so precious to me. And other people shared stories and shared of good times they had with her. When you do that with someone, that lightens their load a little bit, that just touches the heart in a very special way. So that was awesome for me. And it says sometimes just be with the person and don't say anything. That I do often. I just don't say anything. I may send I'm one, I love to send the little gifts when I'm inboxing someone or sending them a text. I like to send hugs, and I've got the responses that I've gotten back was, I really needed that today. Or send something funny. You have to know the person's taste for humor. And my sister will say it often. She said, "Girl, I was having a rough day." But then I looked on my phone and what you sent me was just, she stopped what she was doing, just laughed. And she's like, "I needed that at that moment." So there's so many ways that you can really be uplifting to a person. It's something. I gotta go back to what not to say. Let's see. Always acknowledge the person's loss, but avoid saying things like I'm sure somebody said, but I'm glad it was you and not me. Now that could be something where someone lost a job. That some unintelligent person, shall we say, would walk up to a girl. I'm glad it was you and not me. Really? Oh gosh. Mm-mm-mm. It's always good to ask the person, is there anything that you need? Now, don't be phony with it. Be genuine when you ask because they may ask you to do something that you don't know how to do. Well, the next question is, how do you do this? And how do you want me to carry out this thing that you've asked me to do? Real simple. But oh my goodness. Here's a real crazy one. And I may have said it myself, but I'm not often. Time heals all wounds. No, it doesn't. There's still a special place for my mother. It's not healed. It's a tender spot that she used to occupy. And it's still tender because she's no longer there or in this flesh with me. So time does not always heal all wounds. But one thing I do admire, there's a young man that I know of, he and his wife lost their baby girls. And I admired him so much. He went through this process. I don't know everything, but he went through this process, he and his wife, like champions, because they allowed themselves time, space, and grace to go through their process of mourning and grieving. And I see him now. Now, will they ever forget those babies? No. But they're able to, they process everything now. And they can breathe because they gave themselves time and space and grace. They didn't feel like they had to be stoic like they tell believers to be in church. You just keep on serving. Everything gonna be all right. Okay. Oh, you don't need to take time off from church and sit down. Oh, you just need to put your trust in the Lord. Okay. I need time. I took time. And I didn't care what anybody said or what they thought. And when I went back to serve after my mother passed, I was okay. I wasn't great. I wasn't in a great place, but I was okay. I could move forward, which I could not before. So, three things I want you to remember when you're talking with your children: give them time, give them space, and give them grace. If you're talking with um, even a stranger, sometimes they may have the woman at the well syndrome where they just keep talking. Why? Because that's what they need. They don't need you to respond. They just need you to listen, because as they're letting these things go, because they may have carried them not only for days and weeks and months, but for years they've carried that grief of something that was lost. Time, space, grace. That's what's needed when someone is grieving. And with children, do not dismiss, or as I say, poo poo, how they legitimately feel. Also, with your elder uh, um, people that you may interact with, whether it be your mother, your grandmother, an aunt, or an uncle, or someone older at the church. Do not poo poo or dismiss what they say about how they feel. Because when your turn comes, you're going to want somebody to be sympathetic towards you and understanding towards you. You want them to listen to you. So sow that good seed of time, space, and grace. And when it's your turn and you need, you will get the same. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope it didn't go too long, but I did want to just share this. I will put the link for this article that I read, that I shared from today, so you can read it. I think and even share it with other people. It's short, but it's extremely helpful. And church people, I really hope you read it and practice what's in here. Share with your group, because grief is something we don't want to talk about. But right now, we need to talk about grief, because in this country, grief can be associated with fear, anxiety, depression, and stress. And there's such a tangled weave, a web right now in our nation of issues that need to be talked about and addressed openly and honestly, and especially within our church communities. Y'all know I'm going to go without saying something. We need to be able to service or serve our congregation with understanding and with knowledge, as well as the spiritual. We need to learn ourselves how to address all of these situations, how to help people go through their process. So, Bible says study. It didn't just mean the Bible. God has inspired knowledge to come through people. He's inspired people to learn about something, to discover things, and write about it. Take advantage of the resources that are available to the general population to educate yourselves, educate your congregation, educate your church leaders. Do not be sitting there and having your folk in the dark when all hell is breaking loose and people are running to the church, and in your leadership, your congregation, they're not prepared to handle the situations that need to be addressed. Do the work. Get the information. What is it you need to focus on? That's where you need to be like the old church. They knew the community that they served, and the community knew them. That way, you know there's some specific things that need to be targeted in your ministry. And if you don't know and you see another ministry that seems to be flowing in that, please don't be so don't be ignorant. Go ask that pastor. I see you've got this going on. I'm interested in doing something like this. Can you help us? And on that note, I'm going to leave you guys alone. I'm going. But thank you guys for taking time to listen. I really do appreciate it. Take time to like, to share. And if you have questions, ask. If I don't know, between the two of us, we'll find out. If your comments, I do appreciate your comments. But in the meantime, remember, beloved, I pray that you may in every way that your body may keep well, just as I know your soul keeps well and prospers. So until next time, you guys be blessed. Stay out of the rain if you can. Enjoy your weekend. It's going to be warm. Till we meet again. All right. Bye bye.